I'm gonna get on the left side of my bike to film this so that I can use my left hand to push my bike. Use my right hand to film. Yo, what up? It's Holbrook Stark. This is not the same day as Track Walk 17, but it's the same track walk. It's just a different day. We got another train parked on the tracks now. Got some fucking beautiful graffiti on that motherfucker. Look at that. That car was cleaned, wow, like 2 months ago. And they put the fucking cleaning sticker right on top of the graffiti. They're just like, yeah, it was clean, but we don't actually get it clean. We just kind of clean it. Who knows what that means? I'm just pushing my bike for a couple yards because there's some kind of sketchy terrain to be biking through. I don't know exactly how good this bike is yet. It might be pretty thuggin', it might be brawlic. I've had it for like a year. I haven't done much off-roading with it. It's a really good road bike. I think fat tires are underrated in general. People say that they're really only good for sand and snow. People are fucking wrong. I've yet to find anything this thing's not a beast for. It's a good ass bike. But I don't know what I turned on the camera to talk about. I didn't really have anything in mind. I'm just kind of gonna ramble for a couple minutes. You know, there's that theory about like exploring the universe, that life forms that are the most intelligent, the most advanced civilizations, when they try to take over the stars, they won't focus so much on like manned landings. Like, it won't be all about sending members of their own species everywhere. It'll be about building self-replicating spaceships that go land somewhere and kind of start building themselves a factory, take the local resources and just figure out what they need to do with those resources to propagate more and go land on another planet. And something that I've found interesting lately thinking about it is just the fact that out of all the different machines that exist, one of the easiest ones that can be created, that can be manufactured by the simplest means and in the most massive configuration, and the most huge amounts of mass production, I mean, is DNA-based life. You look at DNA, it's actually a great way of storing code compared to you know, hard drives, SSDs, RAM, anything you got that stores data. It's probably not as efficient in some ways as DNA. They all have their pros and cons, of course, but I think DNA's cons actually fit perfect for space colonization. I mean, if you're trying to take over the universe, then yeah, you can build an artificial intelligence that'll like build cities of robots that'll protect the planet for you over, you know, millions of years. But on the other hand, an artificial intelligence is going to have the limits of how it's built itself. I mean, obviously the most advanced artificial intelligences are going to be created by teaching artificial intelligence to work on itself, to update itself. And humans are not going to be designing it from the ground up. And ultimately, any artificial intelligence we design, no matter how advanced it seems to us, it could develop certain patterns that we can't see, that it can't see, that make it more limited than what something else might be if it did not fit those patterns, if it had gone down a different path of development in the beginning. I don't know if that makes sense the way I just explained it, but basically with DNA, it's a way to store data, to store the programming of just the very core of life. Not the whole artificial intelligence. None of the patterns that might already be imbued or embedded. None of the path that might have already been gone down in the beginning of the development is there. Because you don't have an entire intricate system of AI. You simply have a little self-replicating machine that has just enough intelligence, not actually intelligence obviously, but just enough ability to maneuver itself in the world to self-replicate, to figure out a way to survive. You know, that's what extremophiles are. Extremophiles are like if instead of an artificial intelligence, you just create an artificial survivalist. We could manufacture extremophiles someday. We're already figuring out how to do it, and I don't think anyone would argue that we're anywhere near as far down the tree of scientific development as we actually would be if we were trying to colonize the entire universe. Which means to a species that would do this, manufacturing DNA-based life, manufacturing little extremophiles that can go survive on a wide range of planets in the universe, wouldn't be too hard. Basically, it's quite possible that the directed panspermia theory that we were actually put here on purpose to seed life on Earth. It might be true, and on top of that, it might be a combination of that and people like Michio Kaku hypothesizing about the self-replicating spaceship theory. They might be the same. Life itself might actually be, as we know it, life itself as we know it, might actually be the ultimate self-replicating spaceship. Something that will develop its own intelligence from the ground up, that will not follow a certain pattern, but that will adapt to wherever it is. And if that's true, if such an intelligent species were to create DNA-based life and use it as the ultimate self-propagating universe takeover, then of course I think it would lead to a much better galactic defense system than any single artificial intelligence could be. Because you would end up with all these intelligent species on each planet. You know, presumably the vast majority of the time anyway, it would lead to some form of intelligence. And each of them would come up with their own artificial intelligences that follow their own underlying philosophies and have their own underlying goals. You'd end up with a greater diversity, which, as any scientist understands, is actually very important to the security of any population. So, yeah, that's probably been talked about before, but I actually was looking around a little bit on Google, Wikipedia last night, could not find anything about it. I found directed panspermia. I found the idea of self-replicating spaceships. I've encountered both of those before. I didn't dig all that deep, but I didn't see any mentions of anything like what I'm talking about. Yeah. It's pretty interesting stuff. And it looks like that whole speech lasted like just until the end of all that slightly difficult terrain. Looks like now I can get back on the fucking bike and ride forward.